And we are live. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. On the East Coast, it is 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On the West Coast, it is just a little bit after 12 noon. Welcome to Journeys with Jones Harwell. This is my Unapologetic segment. So I'm going to introduce you to our guest of the hour, the beautiful woman that's sitting there before me is Dr. Clarice Kavanaugh. She is a native of Chicago and Los Angeles transplant for more than 30 years. An experienced influencer, she birthed a career change and stepped into her destiny as a change maker. Exiting the corporate world to a classroom setting, she is a university professor, entrepreneur, executive coach, and motivational speaker. She learned the ability to change the perspective of her audience through engagement and synergy. Having worked in the pharmaceutical industry for more than 30 years in sales and marketing, Dr. Clarice learned the benefits of human connection. Her magical abilities of connecting corporate executives, physicians, and sales personnel were transferred effortlessly to the world of academia. Clarice likes to say she leveled up from the corporate America to the college classroom. She can listen as well as lead. She is the founder and president of the Kavanaugh Group. So she took those skills and she transferred them into lecturing on topics such as leadership development, organizational leadership, and global human resource management. She is often sought after by organizations, both private and public sector, as a speaker and teacher of leadership behaviors, business coaching, leadership development with a specialty in equity and inclusion, and newly added unconscious bias. I like that. Not only in the workplace, but also in our everyday lives. With the untimely and life-changing events in the recent months, she put together a project and reinvented from focusing of coaching and leadership development and how we can address this in our new normal. That project turned into a pain of change with the Dr. Clarice Radio Talk Show, a platform that she uses to address people today in finding ways to address today's issues by experts in various fields. The format is interesting topics with interesting people. Dr. Clarice often says, and you are never too old, it is never too late, never give up, has incentivized her to take a deep breath and rejuvenate, elevate, and rebuild. Welcome, Dr. Clarice.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I am honored and humbled to be here. I mean, truly, I am. I cannot thank you enough for inviting me on the show. It is a blessing, a true blessing to be here. And when you were reading the bio, I was like, who is she talking about? Right? Because you write things about yourself, but you don't really read them. And this is the truth. And you hear actors and actresses say they've never seen themselves on film. And you're like, that's weird. Because when you hear or see you, you don't perceive you as others. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. And again, thank you. I feel so blessed to be here.
Thank you. I'm honored. We met, and I think I'm getting the echo on my end. Do you hear it?
No, I can't.
Okay. Okay. We met through the Signatures Entrepreneurs and Mastermind group. just a few short months ago and have developed this beautiful friendship. Dr. Larry White always has a way of finding the right people to bring them together. That is his gift of bringing people together. And I am so glad and so fortunate to meet you. So I wanted to talk about a couple of things because you talked about going from corporate America to academia. So I know that you're an adjunct professor at UCLA. And then I want to learn how you birthed your radio show.
Well, correction. I'm an adjunct professor at the Chicago School of Professional Psychology. And we have a school in Chicago, LA, New Orleans, Washington, D.C., Dallas, okay, our schools, and Irvine and San Diego. I teach primarily at the Irvine and San Diego campuses. I have been an invited professor for management courses at UCLA. So, but I'm not an adjunct there. I'm more like a visiting professor there when they have extension courses. But how did I birth the show? Well, 2020, as we all know, was the year that was and still is primarily, right? And I lost my best friend early on, my bestie, as we called each other, early on in 2020 through COVID-19. So he got ill in February. He passed away by March. So then Ahmaud Arbery, this video comes out, then Breonna Taylor. And by the time George Floyd, that whole thing, and me, and I actually have been on Facebook when this video was being recorded. And somebody, one of my friends, some kind of way was on Facebook and shared it. So it was basically, I saw it basically when it was happening. And I thought it was a joke. I was like, this is what, because I'm watching people video Officer Shaven, and I'm like, why are they videoing him? Why don't they just go knock him out for this man's neck? Because I didn't know the man's name, right? But I listened to this man beg for water, beg to stand up, beg for his mama, 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 I love you, mama, mama. I was like, this is it for me. I just can't. So protesting, I went out. I'm not young. Went out and protested 3 times. I had a compromised situation with a knee. And then the 3rd time I had to be carried back to my car by protesters. I couldn't even make it back, okay? Since then, I've had complete total knee replacement, which was scheduled, but because the pandemic didn't have. But anyway, and all I did is I prayed, I cried and I prayed. And this is a true story, okay? Because I've never thought about doing a podcast, ever, never. I thought about winning an Academy Award, walking the red carpet, but never thought about a podcast. So I have a very close friend, a sister friend, Jeanette Agarwal, who has a spiritual connection. And I called her and I said, Jay, blah, 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 blah. This is, what do you think? I mean, you think I can do this? I mean, the pain, I mean, we're going through just the pain and change and this. So I started writing down names of the show. It was uncomfortable. The first one was uncomfortable. Pain of change. That was the first one. But then I thought, okay, that's too long. And you might not always be that uncomfortable if we want to just keep this going. So that's how the pain of change started. And it is done really well. It's done well. It's done well from the standpoint of just not so much as this huge audience. That's not what. Not that. It's not that. I mean, it's done well because I get texts, emails, phone calls telling me that helped me. That's all it was about. That's all it was about. If I could help one person, that's all it was about. Doing this show on vaccines, breast cancer, credit repair. Okay? These are things, human trafficking. Okay? These are the things that my next show is going to be with one of our own, Courtney, with relationships on Valentine's Day. Wes, one of our own, 100 Black Men, is coming on the show. I'm going to have basically 2 shows in a week, but we can do that virtually. But again, we all are going through the pain of change. And when somebody says to me, and they have, well, why did you want to call it the pain of change? I mean, that's not very positive. And I said, not to you, but it's not your show, okay? You know I said it right. But the bottom line is this. No one can tell me unequivocally that change in some way is not painful. It causes anxiety a lot of times. Even when you change jobs and you go from this crappy job and you finally get this great position you always wanted, now you start questioning, can you do the job? Right? So that's how it all came about. That's what the pain of change is, because with change comes some type of pain.
You are so true. Pain is always necessary in change. It can be just a matter of you stomped your toe, or you got a massive headache because somebody's just getting on your last nerve. But there's always something that you got to go through to get that process going, to say, you know what, this is not working, or I need to tweak this, or I need to tweak that. And I love it because you and I share something else in common. When we were talking yesterday, we share a similar undergrad major.
Oh,
So yes.
undergrad major. Right. And look at us now. You see what I mean? Just look at what journalism took me into sales. Journalism took you into IT. You've helped me in less than 24 hours with my podcast. In less than 24 hours. Okay? The IT communicator. Because you got the best of both worlds. So when you look at what has been done, even the fact that, you're an adult learner, and I teach that every week. Adult learners. I went back to school and got my MBA at 50. And then I got a PhD at 100. We won't talk about that. But in my 60s, right? But it's being a blessing and embracing your authentic self, right? Isn't that what we all need to do? We need to take our great to greater. Because most people think that once we are great, we are already greater. But we're not. There's always the next level. And that's what I speak to, taking your great to greater.
That is so true. So true. I'm typing as we're talking, so I'm welcoming people as they come into the show, and if they have any questions, they can post so I can get them to you. So one of the things that I love about you, in the short time that I have known you, is your energy is so incredible. And I was talking to my mom last night, and I said, she reminds me, and I don't want to date you, but you remind me of my two grandmothers who were part of my um, character makeup. Just that no nonsense, but could just give it to you with that smile on their face, just as beautiful. But be like, don't go there, don't try that, don't do this. Unmute.
That's actually a compliment because I've tried to pattern myself after my grandmothers. Okay. And even though my mom was an influence, my grandmothers were my mother's mother was a huge influence. And I dated someone, I mean, this for a while, and he used to call me, and it's really amazing what you just said, because that was a good read. He used to call me nice nasty. when you said that I have that smile on my face and I'll be just as nice, but really from my heart, I'm really nice, but no nonsense. He used to say that he's never met anybody that he would have to wonder, did she just curse me out? Did she just tell me what just happened here? Because I'm not a person that likes to argue or banter. I say what I have to say. I say it with a smile. You certainly can disagree with me. But, recently someone asked me, well, did I just get on your nerves? Is that why you're not talking to me anymore? And my answer was, why would you think you got on my nerves? Because I want to say yes. But again, that's that, oh, I'm sorry you feel that way. But that's also that corporate training. That's that corporate training. That's being in pharmaceuticals for 36 years and being a retiree and not a firee. I didn't get fired, I retired. And all that meant was I learned to navigate. I learned how to do my own good trouble without getting fired. Okay. And and that's what we have to embrace in our everyday life, not making waves, but making a difference. Not complaining about everything that comes our way, but find the solution. When you make a complaint, say, this was kind of, but what I figured out. Right now we're talking about Black people aren't able to get the vaccine. Well, I have the vaccine, so I probably shouldn't say but if you had a group of people constantly saying they're not going to get the vaccine, they don't trust the vaccine, then you're complaining that you can't get it. Where do you think they was going to put it? This stuff expires. So if you are saying, I'm not taking that, I'm not going to be a guinea pig. So it's all the stuff of the pain of change. Going back to the pain of change. We have to do better. If we know better, we do better. So that's that. But that was just interesting that I know I'm rambling, but that you picked up on that, yep.
Yeah.
No nonsense.
And we can come back and actually talk about the vaccine, because you did document your journey of having the first shot. And actually my mother went and had her first shot last week. So, and we've been documenting, her. She took a picture, told everybody, how she felt when she got her first one. Everything went fine. There was no underlying issues with her. So why is it, and this is important, I think, us as individuals that do this, that are information catalyst, and this is a new word I'm going to start using, is that we are information catalyst, because we push information to people. What you do with it once we give it to you, that's on you. But I'm going to make sure you get the information. I'm not going to hold it.
That is such an excellent narrative. Information catalyst. I don't care what you do with the information. I really don't. People have disinvited me to events because they say that I'm too over the top with COVID. I'm like, and I'm still alive, amen. And so, okay. And a lot of those people, a few of those people that said that are no longer with us. And, someone I know, Iris Gordy, of the Gordy family, said at a recent memorial, and I mean, she said she doesn't understand why people are still having events. Because she's a Gordy, she people always want to invite her, of course, okay? And she declines. And she said it puzzles her that people are still having events. So no matter how much information you give, if people don't use that information like a sponge and soak it in and soak it up, and this could be for vaccines, this could be for career, this is be reinventing you. I didn't retire, I reinvented myself. That's what I always say. That's what I did. Okay. When people tell you can't, that means you're not going fast enough. Okay? That's all that means. If someone says you can't do that. You can't do that. That means you need to speed up. Okay? Because what that's meant is slow down. I'm not doing it, so you can't do it. I'm not getting the vaccine. You shouldn't get the vaccine. I'm not going to college, so you shouldn't go to college. Why are you going to college, Lisa, at X amount of years old? You're married, you got kids, you got a good career. You don't need a degree. Why are you doing this, Lisa? Why are you starting a book company, Lisa? Why are you doing that, Lisa? Instead of saying, wow, that's really awesome. That's awesome. God, that's really amazing. Because God knows your heart. Okay? And he blesses people with good heart. So when we surround ourselves with people that's negative, or toxic, as I like to say, how in the world do you think you can ever face your pain of change and walk into your victory when you have people that's all they're doing is weighing you down? And here's the news flash. Buckle up. This is buckle up time. It can be in your own house or your own family. It's not just the outside. It's also people. That's why they say, you gotta know who your friends are. People that aren't successful don't want you to be successful. So why do we hang with people that aren't successful? To make us look better, right? So those are just some of those things that I, my Clarice isms, as someone calls them.
I love it, and I'm gonna get a lifetime full of Clariceisms because it is amazing. I can sit and talk to you all day, and we were talking, quite a bit. Just a short conversation that we had yesterday, but I do love what you say, and that is true. That a lot of times our fear of failure and our fear of what our own family and friends think of us will cause us not to move forward in God's original purpose for us, or something that we desire to do, because we're quick to say, well, we're quick to judge ourselves based on somebody else instead of saying, I'm offering you the best of what I have right here, straighten my shoulders, put a smile on my face, and if you don't like it, they say, open the next door. Open the next door. Right. Bye bye. Bye bye.
But most people won't do that until they're at, if they ever do it, until they're at this point, right? Oh, if I had to do it all over again. You know, when I wanted this job, and people just told me that I shouldn't, or I always wanted to go to school. And I want to kind of talk about school because this is Black History Month, and it is important. It's part of our destiny or our legacy, right? Education is the key to unlocking so many things. College is not for everyone, and education does not always mean college or university. Education means knowledge. Ignorance means lack of knowledge. That's all it means, okay? No, everybody doesn't like to go to school or this or this or this. That's why you have more adult learners than you've ever had. You got online platforms. You got all sorts of things. But my point is this. We have to become educated in whether it's being a master barber, a master electrician, a master of anything but foolishness. Of foolishness. That is our pain of change, is people. It's a people. We love to embrace, and I'm not talking about you, this person, that person. I'm talking about collectively, we love to embrace foolishness. And then we want to talk about how people don't understand us. I don't understand us. Okay. So, okay. I don't, because we like to put each other down. And people say, I mean, all races do it. Now, don't get it twisted. All races do it. But we have to come together collectively and do whatever we can to come together. I'm not saying now more than ever, because now more than ever has been in the last 200, 300 years. So we have to face our pain of change. Change is not always easy. I had children very young. When I went back to school, I was pregnant with my second child. She's 47 years old. I was literally pregnant with her in class, okay? But I was determined that I was going to get a degree. I was determined, because that was the only hope that I saw I could ever have. I wanted to be a executive secretary. I tried that first, took shorthand, took typing. I was horrible at it. Okay. So we just have to face our pain of change. You see the glory, but you don't hear the story. Everybody got, people look at the Michael Jordans or the Maya Angelou's or the Oprah Winfrey's or the Tyler Perry's, and they see the glory, but they don't necessarily know the story. And we all have a story, but we also have the potential for the glory. And that is what it is when you're facing your pain of change. You have to see the glory to complete your story. You can't just walk around talking about it. You got to be about it. You got to step into your own victory. And I mean, that's just fact. Nobody, no, we have watched a nation embrace foolishness. We have a congresswoman, an elected person in Congress with a face mask on saying, stop the steal. Trump won as of last week. If we don't embrace and come together as we did in this election, the Divine Nine, okay, and all others, then where are we headed here? We've got to understand what the pain of change means. I mean, we've got to do it.
I get it. Had I not stepped out when I did, I never would have met some of the incredible people that I've met so far, helping them tell their story. Meeting you never would have happened had I not said, you know what, it's time to reinvent. And that's what I did as well, reinvent me. And it wasn't so much of a reinvention. It was God finally saying, when are you going to come back to what I originally have for you to do? And a lot of times, some of us get it early in life, and some of us still sit on it and say, well, I don't know. And the thing that I love about what 2020 has done in some of the most incredible people that I've met, being a part of signature entrepreneurs and masterminds, but people that I've known for a couple of years now. A young lady that I used to live next door to me is doing a podcast show. And I'm applauding her all the way. Another acquaintance of mine is doing a podcast show. I'm applauding her all the way, because that's what we need. There's no such thing to me as, well, what for? What for? There's everybody. There's somebody for everybody. There's always somebody that needs to hear your story. I may not resonate, but guess what? The next person that hears me may say, wow, look at what she did. And even, with you and I talking yesterday and sharing a little bit of my story with you, you were like, she just talked about stuff that I talk about every day on my show. She showed me. At 58, it's never too late. I think of, the interview that Gayle King did, the last interview that Gayle King did with Cicely Tyson, and why it resonated with me so much. And I bawled like a baby Monday when The View did their tribute to her. That at 96, she was still doing stuff. And the thing that she wanted to be known most for in her life was the simple thing of, I did my best. I gave my best. She did more than give us her best. She gave us a legacy that will outlive her, outlive me, outlive my son, generations of a legacy that she gave us.
You know, the Queen says was just such an amazing woman. I mean, I think that when she married Miles Davis, who was a character in his own right, right? But that kind of person that you can take and make a difference in someone's life, even at that age. I mean, they weren't very young, when they got married. And she nursed him back to health after his stroke because he wasn't able to play the, the trumpet, I guess it was. But we have to find our Cecily Tyson because we have a Cecily Tyson also. We have to embrace our Cecily Tyson. What is the legacy that we want to live? For me, of course, I have children and grandchildren, so that'll be part of a legacy in terms of genealogy. But what would be the legacy is that I did my best. I did my best, and I did everything I could to encourage people and try to make a difference in this world. When I worked in corporate, I remember people saying to me after I left, and we meet for lunch, and you got to remember, I spent 30 something years in pharma, 26 years in one company. So most of those people are still very much my friends, even though they're younger than I am. We still talk, we still have lunch and things. But I remember them saying this to me. We used to think you were crazy, Clarice. But when you left, everything you said, it was all true. And I said it was always true. But you guys wanted to think it wasn't. You wanted to think I was old. And that all that was in my day. That day hasn't left. I have been shouting and screaming my entire life because my grandmother was a civil rights person. She was big. I marched with Dr. King as a teenager. My whole thing down Marquette Road in Chicago, in a church basement. I got a chance to talk to him and Dr. Ralph Abernathy, and I asked him, what can I do to make a difference? And he said, get an education. Those was his words. Those was his words. Get an education and help your people. And that's what I've tried to do. So we have to take responsibility, TRY. Take responsibility for yourself. Stop always looking for other folks to blame. We got enough stuff on our own. We have been disrespected. We have been dismissed. We have been demised from the hatred of the people who do not look like us in this country that we built. There would be no history without Black folk. Those are facts. But we're still in America the most hated because the color of our skin. But at the same time, people spend their money on getting the color of our skin. Other than Michael Jackson, God rest his soul, I don't know anybody else that spent time, and I guess they have Bill Largo, and I guess they just need to, whatever it was, right? But people spend most money vacationing in sunny places and getting tanned. getting lips, getting butts, getting perms. So we need to think about why, because they don't hate us, they envy us, because we will continue to rise. And I say to people all the time, Lisa, that we need to challenge our multi-millionaires in our culture to put on more workshops, even if it isn't in person, right? Right? But put on more workshops, because if they could do it, why can't you, me, everybody do it? So instead of you just looking at Michael Jordan as the billionaire, Michael Jordan didn't become a billionaire from playing basketball, honey. He became a billionaire because of his entrepreneurial skills. Oprah Winfrey, entrepreneurial skills. Tyler Perry, entrepreneurial skills. Biddy, entrepreneurial skills. So everybody has, so they need to, that's why I said foolishness. Foolishness. Instead of Biddy doing his thing about we don't need to vote for Biden because they want to deal with Trump because he's a multi-millionaire. And of course, he would benefit greatly by the tax advantage, right? We need to have a call to action and get some of these people to do podcasts on a tutorial of what to do. I certainly have helped people. I have mentors that mentees that I mentor. And I have grown people that I coach, right? And we have to give back. If you got something, give something, okay? Don't brag about what you got. Don't brag about, I'm driving this and I got this and I got that. Help people. Help people. It's simple. It's free. It's free. What was it for free stuff, right? It's a bargain. Help people. You don't have to let them move into your house, but help people. If we show this country and the world, and when we wanted to let but Barack Obama, we did it. When we wanted to get who out, we did it. So we have power. We have power. And certainly this group, Signature Entrepreneur and Masterminds, is full of that kind of power. That's why I love this group.
I love this group. You are so true, because collectively we have come together as mentors, and so many of us are in different industries, event planning. We have financial people. We have educators, IT, teachers. I don't think we have any lawyers in the group yet. We're going to get there though. But just because we're doing the very thing that you're saying, putting information out for people to be able to find ways to do that, going from day to day to, okay, how do we do generational wealth? We are so behind the ball on that as a community, that this is something that we didn't teach our kids. Number one, it wasn't presented to us. And then we've gotten away from teaching some stuff to our kids, so one of the big questions today, and I know you talked about this on one of your earlier shows that I watched when I first met you, you had a couple of college kids on, and you were talking about how they were adjusting to education, particularly now it's virtual. Virtual had been coming for a long time. And some of the teachers were like, "Oh no, we're never going to get out of the brick and mortar. We're always going to have a school for them to come into." And I remember getting my master's in early childhood education and having a conversation with my sister-in-law about that very subject. And she was like, "I can't understand how you're doing this, and you're doing this virtual." I said, "Because it's coming." Now, this was back in, I got my master's in 2015, but I was telling her, this is coming. This is going to be more futuristic, that our kids are going to have that blended environment of virtual and maybe 1 or 2 days they're in the classroom.
Absolutely correct. I teach what we call a blended program. I'm on ground. We were on ground. And then they submit their assignments to a platform called Canvas. And that's in discussion boards and things like that. But, we're on ground primarily. We have brick and mortar. I don't think brick and mortar is going to go away. But what I do think is, this morning I was on a webinar and I had to go through all this stuff. It's called lockdown, and how I can go on through my computer and lock down other people's computers in the classroom to keep them from getting to the internet, and how certain things are required. Because the simple thing is, what has happened is that, of course, we have to maintain the integrity and prestige of an institution. Now, years ago, if you had an online situation, people questioned that. And to be honest, the jury is still out in terms of total online schools and all that. But USC has an online master, I think it's an MSW program for social work, but you have to have 15 years experience before you get in the program, right? So things are changing. Things are changing. Recently, but nobody needs to be distracted either. See, and this is what happens to us. People get distracted. Things are going to be virtual, but people are not going to stop going into offices or schools or whatever. People, if you say you haven't, and here's the trickery with the vaccine, no, you don't have to get the vaccine. However, if you want to come back to school as an educator, and your job says you have to be on ground, but you decide that you got some underlying condition, but you don't want to get the vaccine, you're probably not going to have a job. Because if you got an underlying condition, you should get the vaccine. I love being virtual because I was driving to San Diego every other weekend. I mean, it was wonderful. They were paying for everything. I was standing on the ocean every for Friday through Monday. I mean, they was paying for it. I loved it, right? But they're not going to let this virtual destroy what they have built. There's still going to be University of Maryland, Harvard, Yale, community colleges. You're still going to have brick and mortar. You're going to have it, okay? But we have to be flexible, coachable, educable, and teachable. It's mandatory. Flexible and coachable is number one. Number one, when you don't want to be flexible and coachable, then you're going to be gone. You're not going to be around. You're not going to be around. That's what makes me reinvent it and re-engineered is someone older who retired, because most people in my age group, they want out because we can't think outside the box. We don't want to update our newest computer system. We don't want to go this way. We don't want to do that way. So they move us out. So we have to stay viable if we want to survive, because people aren't dying young anymore. We have more octogenarians than we ever had. We have centenarians. My daughter's best friend, one of her close friends' grandmother turns 106 today. She was on the news yesterday. 106 years old. So we have to embrace new, but they're not going to allow us to abuse the new. Understand that what I'm saying? They're not going to let us do. See, they're not going to let you say, I can't come back in the classroom, or I can't come back to work because I have an underlying health condition. Not with the vaccine, they're not. That's a hard argument, that you got an underlying health condition, but you don't want the vaccine, and you want your job. They're not going to do it. So we have to also be ready. We have to be prepared for whatever. There's going to be a vaccine passport. If anybody doesn't see that coming, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't know what to tell you. I really don't. Now, if you never go anywhere and you never do anything, don't worry about the vaccine. That's what I say over and over again. Wait for herd immunity. But even with herd immunity, you're going to have a vaccine passport. You know, it's a new day. Like you said, virtual was coming, honey. Virtual's been here. You know, University of Phoenix was virtual online for 1,000 years. But because they were a for-profit institution, it diminished their credibility and prestige. And because the people they were bringing coming out of those people like Concordia, not Concordia, but the other one that was out in California that Kamala took down, because they were just churning out people and nobody was getting a job. You know, that's the whole thing. In every program, there should not be people in the program. I could sit here and tell you for sure that. But we just have to keep up to date and be, what do you call it, an information catalyst. You know what I also say? Readers are leaders. Readers are leaders. If you read, you lead. If you don't read, you perish. And sometimes we need to read hard copy of stuff and not just internet stuff too. So, but yeah, virtual is the way we're going to go. It is here to stay. It's going to be more and more recognized than it was. And it's going to be more and more accepted than it was. But it's not going to, people are not going to let it be used as an excuse either. You know, because I already came up with an excuse. This is how come I know. I already said, because I have a mandatory faculty meeting, and I already said, well, I think that once we open back up, that I think we should still have the faculty meeting virtual. That was met with dead silence. I didn't even get a comment. I didn't even get a clap, a hand, nothing in the text, nothing. They just moved on to the next subject. They didn't even address it. No one even said, I agree. No one said a word. That's why I said, I see what's coming. I made it perfectly. I said, well, I think this is great. You know, we could still have virtual, even when they like, so anyway, so.
I have enjoyed you. I have enjoyed you. I have enjoyed you today. Please tell people where they can find you on Sunday afternoons and what you have coming up for your show this week. For those of you that follow the Signature Entrepreneurs and Masterminds group, we do have a virtual platform that we are hosting tomorrow, a virtual Black History program. Please come on to YouTube and Facebook, join us, learn your history. As you said, knowledge Education is knowledge. Knowledge is power. You have to know your history. You got to know where you came from, where you are, and where you're going. Make no mistake about it, because if we continue to stay silent, we have seen where the state of Texas and other states, which we are now fighting in the Supreme Courts, to get our stories back in the history books.
I know about that. Okay, now we got to go. What happened? And what they took like Black history.
They are rewriting it to suit their narrative. Oh yes. We got to stay woke. And somebody said, one of our members said today, Mr. McCarter, just because you're woke, some people still not paying attention. I loved how he said that.
Well, that is that, I mean, okay, so we on a whole new conversation. Okay. See, this is what I'm saying. I didn't even know this when I was saying my narrative about taking responsibility for yourself. Okay. This is horrible. But, for people who thought racism was dead or didn't exist, it's never gone anywhere. And in my consulting, and I do unconscious bias, the way I started is this: unconscious bias, not. It's extremely conscious. And that's what makes it dangerous. Because unconscious means that you're in a state of unconsciousness. You're not conscious. You're not awake. So this is just showing you how somehow someone has spearheaded something to alter the history books in Texas. Okay. Well, I was thinking about moving to Texas for a minute. That's horrible.
I am originally from West Texas. So I was born in Abilene, Texas. And one of the things that, because I loosely still follow educational things because literacy is my platform. And I loved how you said readers are leaders. If you cannot read, you cannot comprehend, you cannot do anything in life. It just period, point blank. And one of the things that I had read, and this was a few years back, and I know that they were still fighting it, was that they were changing the narrative in the history books to reflect what they wanted to see. They kind of wanted to whitewash, the whole slavery era. You can't. How could you do that? Just as you said, we built everything. We helped build this country. We invented stuff. We still give, of our time and our energy and, our grace to everything that we touch. So, but that's a conversation that we can definitely come back and have on another day. So please tell people where they can catch your show on Sundays.
I don't have a show every Sunday. Originally, I have a show every second and fourth Sunday. But since I've been virtual, I do the show still when I feel like it. So anyway, I still have second and fourth Sundays, right? Sometimes we do the Pain of Change After Dark, and that's our pop-up show, right? So in my show is on Facebook, The Pain of Change with Dr. Clarice, YouTube, The Pain of Change with Dr. Clarice. It's on Sundays at 3 p.m. I will have a show February 13th with Wes Webb and the 100 Black Men. And his 100 Black Men, the president here in LA also will be on. I will also have, I'm hoping to have Courtney Smith, one of our own, do the relationship show on Valentine's Day. And at the end, and then I'm going to bring in Margaret Bush Ware who was the publicist for Cicely Tyson, who is my good friend, and also publicist to Cecily and Sammy Davis Jr., and was very big in the Rat Pack days, right? And she's also one of my dearest friends, and we go to the Martha's Vineyard together. So, and then at the end of the month, we're going to have one of my cousin, Megan Orr, who's going to talk about generational wealth. So that's 3 p.m. West's show will be on February 13th, noon Pacific Standard Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard, and the rest is 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sundays. His show will be on Saturday. And, I don't know. I like this Friday, so I might look at Friday. I don't know. That's what I love about being virtual. You can do whatever. And in the comment box, I put my website, thekavanaghgroup.com, and Clarice at thekavanaghgroup.com. Please use me as a resource if you got questions on leadership, development, career changes. I have 40 plus years of corporate experience that I would more than love to share with whoever. And I really thank you. Thank you so much for allowing me to be on your show, Journeys. I love this. I think it's awesome. And I appreciate your efforts and everything that you do to address the pain of change of people as they go through their journeys.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You see, you guys, you see why I love this woman so much. She is fantastic. She is not going to steer you wrong. She is going to drop those gems. Just beautiful. Thank you. This concludes our show for today. I once again want to thank Dr. Clarice Kavanaugh for coming on with the Kavanagh Group and the vision behind The Pain is Change with Dr. Clarice. Check out, yes.
One more thing. Today is AKA Pink Goes Red. It's our initiative. That's why I have on red. And it's to make women aware of heart disease and how much we have heart attacks. So Pink Goes Red. That's it. All right. Thank you.
Gotcha, ma'am. We got it. Divine 9. And thank you, everybody. Jones Harwell, Journeys with Jones Harwell. I'm signing off.